And you should be YouTube famous now. Wonderful. And it looks like we have a finalist in the waiting room. So I'm going to go ahead and let them in so they can hear the introductions. And we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the 72nd Annual All-America City Awards. We are so happy that you have joined us for this first block of presentations. We have a great group of finalists who will be presenting this afternoon. But first, I want to take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed and fearless jury who will be listening to all of your wonderful presentations today. First up, I want to recognize our jury foreperson, Angela Romans. She is the interim executive director of Achieve Mission. And jury members, if you just want to give a quick wave when you're introduced, that'd be great. Joining us from the city of Mountain View, California, we have the Honorable Margaret Abayakoga. Thank you so much for being with us. From the Oakwood Chief Executive Officer of Oak Ridge Neighborhood, is Therese Caldwell Johnson. Maya Cole is the Director of Leadership Development at Health One. Honorable John Daly, he is the Mayor of the good city of Tallahassee, Florida. Joshua Franzel, he is the Managing Director of the Center for State and Local Government Excellence at ICMA-RC. Thanks for joining us, Josh. Adriana Hernandez couldn't be with us today. She'll be joining us a little bit later, but she is the Senior Counsel Aide for the Mayor of Chula Vista, California. We have Dante Martin, Assistant City Manager of the City of Wichita, Kansas, a fairly recent All-America City Award winner. Cicely, or CC Moore, she's the Program Office for the Office of President at the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. Thanks for being with us, CC. Lexi Mueller, she is the Community Outreach Lead for our wonderful sponsor, Southwest Airlines. Thanks for bringing with us, Lexi. And last but certainly not least, we have the Honorable Jason Shelton. He is the Mayor of Tupelo, Mississippi, also an All-America City. So with that, I am excited to get us going. Do we have our first community up? We have Southfield, Michigan. Southfield, are you with us? Yeah. Great. All right, let me just make sure that I can see you okay. I see me. Perfect. Great. It looks like you all are set. Angela, I'm handing it off to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Rebecca. All right. So this is how this is going to go to anyone who's watching. I think our next community is in the house as well. I'm going to say, hello, are you ready? And someone from your community will say, yes, we are. And then your timing will start. So any questions about that, let us know in the chat. Otherwise, let's see, I can't quite see Southfield. Are they, I see you, Rebecca.
Yeah, they just have a mirror image of the screen right now, but once we start, we start.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Southfield, Michigan. Are you ready to begin? All right, then let's begin.
Yeah. What's that on the screen? Can we get rid of that? Can we close out the remote?
There's that video.
Right, Southfield, are you still with us?
Yes.
All right, you may begin.
The coronavirus
Death of George Floyd.
a state of emergency.
Virtually every city in the country, and certainly every finalist for this award, has faced the same challenges. The difference is Southfield, Michigan has solved them. Systemic racism, protecting an at-risk community during COVID, affordable housing, all national challenges. And in Southfield, Michigan, local successes. To help overcome systemic racism, Southfield was one of the first cities in the country to institute a duty to intervene policy.
Every officer must intervene if they witness unnecessary use of force. We have the trust and support of our community.
In Southfield, police and citizens peacefully protest together, arm in arm. In 2020, while most of the world was caught off guard with COVID-19, Southfield had a plan and geared up by ordering more ambulances and PPE. A strategic communications plan created transparency and helped flatten the curve.
We ran Facebook ads for our residents so that they would know where to get PPE and COVID tests. And when things got better, we asked our building department to rewrite our guidelines so that our restaurants and our barbershops could open safely.
The other national challenge Southfield has figured out is housing, finding the perfect balance between increasing property values and at the same time, maintaining affordable housing for families.
We invested $20 million, secured state support, and were able to renovate and update 2 significant housing developments. 2 high-rises for residents aged 62 and older, and townhomes for young families.
Southfield is home to growing families, global blue chips, and we hope soon, home to this prestigious award.
Greetings from Southfield, Michigan. I'm Mayor Ken Siver and pleased to present our case as to why Southfield should be awarded the 2021 All-America City Honor. We work to address systemic and institutional racism through proactive policies, resolutions, peaceful protests, all built upon the foundation of a community that is diverse, engaged, and welcoming. With a majority African-American population, residents and officials have stood together, Southfield strong, in a united effort to fight for justice, equality, inclusion, and above all, peace.
I am Southfield Chief of Police, Elvin Barron, and I would like to share with you just some of the many recent actions that Southfield has taken to ensure that we remain a community that is safe and equitable in our treatment of all citizens. Duty to intervene. The Southfield Police Department spearheaded the national campaign for all police departments to adopt the policy. We were acknowledged by the governor of Michigan. This policy was also shared statewide through the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. The police department took a hands-on approach to our management of protests. We listened to their concerns and had meaningful and honest conversations and participated in demonstrations. The Southfield Police Department's use of force policies are according to national best practices in policing.
Hello, I'm Police Lieutenant Aaron Hughley, representing My Brother's Keeper, Southfield. My Brother's Keeper Southfield works to mentor young men to achieve success in their lives. We held a career fair and tie drive, which included mock interviews with over 100 young men and over 30 employers. Each young man received a tie and an inspirational message from the community and companies. We held a youth symposium with over 500 students that included job shadowing, over 20 guest speakers, and interactive workshops. We held several COVID-19 food drives to give away food boxes, toys, and other necessities for residents in need. We held a face mask and sanitizer giveaway with nearly 1,000 units that were donated and distributed that included inspirational messages. We started the Meal with a Message program to offer smaller yet more meaningful interactions. And we continue to safely hold monthly events with a steady group of over 30 young men. We are My Brother's Keeper, Southfield.
I'm Councilman Dr. Lloyd Cruz. The culmination of this important and ongoing work was the installation of the new May Peace Prevail on Earth International Peace Poles last November. This grassroots effort embodies our belief that we must all come together in spirit of love, mutual respect, and understanding. In Southfield, we value every person, and these peace poles exemplify the need for progressive change that is lasting and encompassing for all people. It is our collective call for justice, equity, and peace.
On March 13th last year, I was one of the first mayors in Michigan to declare a local state of emergency in an effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. We activated our Emergency Operations Center while keeping all essential services running, including our small business and restaurant support efforts and rent and utility assistance for residents, and later a vaccination clinic. We also paused to grieve, holding a memorial honoring the 330 lives lost to COVID. We remain united together, Southfield strong, in our collected efforts to beat this deadly disease.
Hi, I am Southfield City Council President Lenny Taylor, and it is my pleasure to share with you just some of the many critical actions that Southfield has taken to help stem the spread of COVID-19 in our community. We launched an effective public information campaign, followed by the benefits of COVID vaccines, a 24/7 vaccine registration hotline, purchased new fire trucks and EMS units, all while still providing other city services, including safe recreation and leisure activities.
I'm Fred Zorn, Southfield City Administrator, and I can affirm that we've taken every feasible measure to ensure public and staff safety, including more than $300,000 in facility upgrades and improvements designed to improve the level of protection. Numerous new safety protocols, procedures, and social distancing barriers have been implemented, including floor stickers, signage, safety glass partitions to reduce exposure and contact. Throughout the pandemic, residents still have been able to conduct most business online as well as via phone during City Hall regular hours.
I'm Southfield Fire Chief Johnny Menifee, and I would like to share with you just some of the many measures that we employ to combat COVID. We know that the African American community is more likely to become infected from the coronavirus, be hospitalized for it, and die from this disease. The leaders of this city recognized this early on in the pandemic and how much it has affected us. We work with Oakland County Health to bring COVID-19 testing to Southfield and vaccines as soon as they were available. We conducted COVID testing and set up safety protocols in our assisted living and our seniors facilities, held blood drives for COVID-19 antibody covalent plasma, participated in special studies with the National Health Institute and the Mayo Clinic to help understand why the African American community was so seriously affected. We continue to work with public health to test, to vaccinate, and educate the community on the latest information and guidelines.
Due to national increases in domestic violence cases resulting from COVID quarantine, the Southfield Police Department formed a domestic violence high-risk response team. The high-risk response team is comprised of public safety officials, representatives of the court, school officials, elected officials, and non-governmental community advocate organizations. The high-risk response team is dedicated to the identification of high-risk domestic violence cases and the creation of a coordinated response, including prevention and awareness. The Southfield Police established a domestic violence committee and coordinated the walk to bring awareness to domestic violence. The event was very successful and supported by the community.
With the majority of our housing stock built 50 to 70 years ago, we launched a housing renewal program. A cornerstone of the renewal was the investment of $20 million for a total renovation of two 45-year-old affordable senior towers with 408 units. McDonald Towers and River Park Place are rent subsidized for seniors 62 and older. Additionally, River Park includes family townhomes. This project included full interior and exterior renovations, energy efficient and security upgrades, with a budget of nearly $40,000 per unit. For residents with limited mobility, 25 apartments were converted to accessibility And the city continues to partner with Habitat for Humanity to build and renovate affordable housing. 27 homes were recently renovated and 8 new homes are currently under construction for Habitat clients. HomeArea.com ranks Southfield as a top Michigan city for the most affordable housing. This is a testament to the successful partnership between the city, the Southfield Nonprofit Housing Corporation, and Habitat.
I am Council President Pro Tem Ari Mandelbaum. The city of Southfield purchased the shuttered Northland Center, the first mall in America to control the destiny of this very strategic and historic property. The Southfield City Council recently approved Contour Company's $12 million purchase agreement to build over 1,300 apartments in 14 five-story buildings at various rental rates, as well as a mix of retail, restaurant, office, and green space, including adaptive reuse of several historically significant structures. 6 of these buildings will have a commercial component on the ground floor, including dining and entertainment options, complementing and completing the development's sense of community and world-class amenities. This major redevelopment project, which covers almost 100 acres right in the heart of Southeast Michigan, will be a major economic driver for the entire state. These are just some of the many reasons why we ask you to consider us for a 2021 All-America City Award. Thank you.
All right, Southfield. Thank you so much. I'm seeing myself again. Thank you so much for kicking us off for the 72nd All-America City Awards. It's never easy to go first, so you get a bonus. A huge thanks for that. So let's see if the jury members have questions. If you raise your hand, I will start a queue of questions. And I will start off by asking a question myself, and then we'll get Terry. So my first question is about the work that you've been doing around systemic racism and supporting Black Lives Matter movement. First of all, you said you've solved your challenges. So it's super exciting that you've solved them in all of this work. And I'm wondering how you are measuring the success in particular of that effort.
And I'll start off as the police chief. And certainly when you look at the incidents surrounding the murder of Mr. George Floyd, how you saw police officers standing there doing nothing as Mr. Floyd begged for his life. So right away, I knew something had to be done as it relates to accountability. And that's where the duty to intervene policy was formed. It's a policy that we hold very critically, that if you're there, if you fail to stop another officer from misconduct, such as what we all witnessed, you will be held accountable just as if you were the one doing that particular misconduct. In addition to that, we have many different conversations with the community, letting them know the police department's stance by having body cameras are now part of our organization. And that way, if there's an incident and it's questionable, we'll be able to review the body worn camera. And if members need to be held accountable, they will. If we need to explain to the community what happened by way of showing the audio and video, we'll do that.
Can I say something real quick too?
Sure.
That the council is also working with human resources to create a position for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And with that, we will be expecting them to bring even more measurable outcomes for the advancements we've made in the city.
Okay.
I'd also add one more thing. The chief and I, we had 20-some demonstrations here. Everyone was peaceful. And we held outdoor community gatherings where we were able to meet with just a wide range of people that, again, it put a human face on our police department and our city. Obviously, there was a lot of community concern and over the events that had taken place. So we were able to interact with our community. I think that's very, very important.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's get Terry next, and then we'll get Mayor Daley and then Mayor Shelton.
Thank you, Southfield. Great presentation. I just had a question that really goes to sort of the notion of sustainability and collaborative partnerships. So I really appreciate all of the work that the city has put into advancing the work around policing, COVID, and housing. But can you talk about how this is sustained through community collaboration and what partners you engaged in this work?
And again, I'll start off as the city's police chief. And as I mentioned earlier in my remarks, we've had partnerships with a variety of community-based organizations, whether it's the clergy, our Haven, the Southfield Domestic Violence Group. And we also engage with the school systems with a great relationship with the city school administrator, where we have many different engagements with our youth. For example, having discussions as relates to human trafficking, driving. We recently had a how to respond to police officers if you are stopped. We were able to share with them some tips on their rights as a driver, what the expectations are from a police officer when responding to them, and overall how to survive an incident. If you, for example, find yourself in an accident, tips on how to manage accidents, and also road rage is a big thing happening right now nationally, and how to limit the amount of exposure in a road rage situation.
I would also add on housing that we have many, many partnerships. Besides Habitat for Humanity, we have an organization called Oakland Rebuilding Together. We have a chore program, something we call SHIP, the Southfield Home Improvement Program. We work with Oakland County government. These are sustaining partnerships. In the last 5 years, besides the 20 million on renovating the senior towers, we have spent close to another 20 million, none of it local tax dollars. It's either the community development block grant money, or it's funding from the Southfield Nonprofit Housing Corporation. So, and these are ongoing projects. We've done almost 100 homes that were not, some of them were affordable, some depending on the neighborhood, but we had really quite a challenge here after the mortgage crisis, where we had many, many homes that were being held by banks and mortgage companies and vacant for quite a long time. A number of them were stripped, they were broken into. So this is how we had turned around and strengthened our neighborhoods, plus 13 demolitions. All, again, not paid for by the city of Southfield.
Other in groups we've been involved with include the state of Michigan, MISTA, Michigan State Housing Development Authority, HUD, those partnerships. We also partner with Southfield businesses, from small businesses to our large corporate interests. Relative to housing, I think a message that gets lost is during the foreclosure crisis, how much wealth our residents lost. With this restoration that has come back, our residents are rebuilding that wealth. We're building that social equity by letting that happen. At the same time, as we address affordable, we're allowing new homeowners to come in and also take part in building wealth in their community. For so many of us, that is how we build our initial wealth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Let's get Mayor Daley, and if we have time, we'll get to Mayor Shelton and then Josh.
Great. Okay, I'll be quick so that we can get more questions in. Hey, first of all, great job. Great presentation. Y'all are doing some amazing things. Mr. Mayor, Council President, all of the leadership there in the city. Yeah, wow. One of the great things about being on the jury is get to take your great ideas and try to implement them back where we live as well. I do have a question in regards to your COVID-19 response, which, by the way, I think y'all are doing a tremendous job. In particular, your high-risk response team concentrating on domestic violence. What an incredible idea. All communities are experiencing similar type issues. My question is, tell me about the makeup of that team. Do you have a licensed mental health professional that serves on that team? And through the data, through the calls that y'all have responded, has it expanded past just domestic violence? We all know that sometimes you don't necessarily need a law enforcement response, to a mental health issue. So tell me about what you have learned about your community, in particular to the response team.
Yes, so it's a collective effort with public safety officials, elected officials. We have a community organization called Haven, which did a lot of work for domestic violence survivors. In addition to that, there's a Southfield domestic violence group. And also we have the courts involved, judges and prosecutors. And what we do is look at cases, seeing the ones that are high risk so that we ensure that they're moving through the judicial system appropriately, aggressively, so that these victims have the resources that they need. In addition to that, there's follow-up with Haven and the Southfield Domestic Violence Group. And I gotta also commend the Southfield Police Department on our very fast and quick response times. Because when these calls for service come out, it's very important that we get there with a sense of urgency, which I truly believe has limited the amount of serious incidents, domestic violence related.
Job well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Let's get Mayor Shelton next.
But echo Mayor Daley's comments. Great job. First is not a question, just a statement. Congratulations on the Northland project. That is looks like a home run for your community, and just congratulations on the job well done there. My question, and you kind of alluded to it, hit on it in response to one of the other questions, on the police department duty to intervene policy. Did you have resistance from the police force or buy-in? How did you kind of sell that? How did you implement that?
Yeah, I appreciate your question, because generally when police departments implement new policy, you get pushback, whether it's pushback from unions or the police department itself. But when I made the decision to bring this policy to the Southfield Police Department, I went to every roll call, every briefing, and explained the policy to the police department. And what I found was no resistance. The officers said, Chief, this is the right thing to do, and we support this policy. And so from there, it's very important that this expanded, not just the city of Southfield, it should be a national policy. And that's when I contacted the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. Local media outlets came and covered the story. And as a result, it gained national traction. And so I started getting calls from police chiefs from Dallas, Mississippi, West Virginia, where there was a mayor's office contacted. And they wanted to have the language to the policy so they too could implement similar policies for their particular organizations. So very good response and accepted by the police department.
Thank you, Chief. Great job.
Thanks, sir.
All right, how are we doing on time, Rebecca? Do we have time for one more quick question?
I actually think that has done it for our time.
That's kind of what I thought. All right, well, for Southfield, Michigan, you were first in the duty to intervene policy. You were first in presenting. So lots of number ones here for Southfield, and so much appreciate all that you're doing to be Southfield strong. So thank you, Southfield.
All right, and I will just bring our next presenters in from the waiting room now.
And while you're doing that, Rebecca, if I can just ask the people who have their virtual hands raised to just lower them so we can start the queue all over again with Miramar.
All right.
Welcome, Miramar. If we can just do a quick sound check for us real quick. I believe you're on mute right now.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Wonderful.
Excellent.
I have made you all co-host. Is there anyone else joining us, or is it just this one entry point?
This is it.
Great. All right, I'll hand it off to Angela.
Okay, City of Miramar, Florida, are you ready to begin?
Yes, we are.
One Miramar!
You may begin.
We are the great city. We are the great city of Miramar, a vibrant community of 140,000 people. We are in South Florida, the nation's fourth largest urban area, home to more than 6 million people. The incredible Everglades River of Grass flows along our western border. We are diverse with many newcomers. Almost half of our neighbors, 46% of them, speak a language other than English at home.
We have struggles. We have disparities in economics and education. We are short on affordable homes, and we have way too much chronic disease. However, as you will hear, in our quest to resolve these social and economic challenges, we worked hard, and as a result, we became a better city.
Our diversity could create deep divisions, but instead, we are coming together to celebrate our mosaic of cultures. We share a common vision and are working together to solve our struggles and build an equitable and resilient community.
Yes, we are
One Miramar!
Our neighborhoods were seeing higher crime and residents were fearful. Our Senior Advisory Council reached out, and together we designed education programs like SALT, Seniors and Law Enforcement Together, and OLA, Hispanic Outreach Law Enforcement Academy. My friend here, Fresia, who leads her neighborhood association, recruited over 150 residents. To be sure that everyone was comfortable and included, we did our programs in Spanish, English, Creole, and Vietnamese.
Con Hola, más de 150 de mis amigos y vecinos hemos aprendido a estar alertas con estafas y dónde encontrar ayuda. Hemos visto resultados. La delincuencia en Miramar ha disminuido un 10% desde el 2018.
These partnerships in the community work. Everyone participates. Churches, youth, businesses, universities, and even the courts. Working together, our community is learning how to detect scams, build connections, and trust each other.
Miramar's businesses are involved too. I was a member of the PAL board when funding for Hanging with 5-0 was cut. My employer, Sunbeam Properties and Development, stepped in to restore the funding, which allows our school resource officers to connect with our middle school students and engage them in fun activities like trips to the Everglades, to the beach, to live performances, all for free. Sunbeam understands that when we invest in youth, that's how you build a strong, resilient community.
I participated in Hanging with 5-0 in middle school, and it made me want to become a police officer. We are proud that for over 20 years, more than 1,600 young people have participated with the Sunbeam support.
Miramar's 3,700 businesses are the backbone to our economic resilience. The business community voiced concerns that only 7% of government purchasing was awarded to minority firms. After a series of public meetings, Miramar did a study. The findings supported our concerns. At our request, the city implemented a business inclusion diversity program. With BID, we're leveling the playing field and helping businesses succeed. As the owner of Bright Light Security Services, I can attest to the BID program and the many trainings that have helped my business grow.
The BID program has increased BID minority award to 33%, awarding $21 million in 2020. My firm, Journey to Engineering, has participated in many trainings with BID, and also we conducted a community workshop using Legos to build robots.
Yes, we are
One Miramar!
With roots in dozens of countries and regions, the Miramar community expresses our joys, frustrations, and hope through the arts. We all agree that the arts are essential, and we are committed to this fundamental belief.
Our family and the community gather at a wide variety of cultural events. The Music in the Park series, the Puppet Festival, Haitian and Hispanic Heritage Celebration, the Afro-Caribbean, and the Broward festivals.
The Miramar Cultural Center is the beating heart of our community. In a normal year, more than 50,000 people gather for 300 cultural events.
When COVID hit, we sprang into action, knowing that we had to find a way to keep the arts alive. Even with our doors closed, we e-blasted surveys to over 24,000 community members asking about their needs. Residents responded with enthusiasm. They helped us curate dozens of virtual programs on our YouTube channel, from dance lessons to Don Quixote.
The survey revealed that teachers, parents, and children were especially desperate for a break. Our public school teachers jumped at the chance to participate, and more than 900 students enjoyed the local symphony's live-streamed One Small Step Moon Adventure in February. And as a drama teacher in the public schools, I volunteered to start an acting series for teens, and we performed a play about bullying where Aiden, one of my students, participated.
Our play looked at how we, as students, can change our school to redirect bullies and support victims. The theater program is a great way to learn about society's themes, talk about important issues, and learn communication skills. More than 7,000 young people are learning to express ourselves in great art programs here in Miramar.
Our community survey results also spotlighted a need for visual arts and an outlet for community conversations. We commissioned artist Rolando Chang Barrero to mount a socially distant exhibition and sparked community conversations.
The exhibition theme was In Time of Protest, and its goal was to create conversations around Black history and the Black Lives Matter movement. During this year of pain and turmoil, we used the arts to engage Zoom conversations. It worked. The best part was that our young people learned the importance of peaceful protest in the journey towards social justice.
Yes, we are
One Miramar!
As Miramar grew an astounding 81% over the past 15 years, our original neighborhoods in historic Miramar experienced unique challenges. Home to working families with low to median incomes, this culturally diverse area is finding ways to come together for a common purpose.
Our seniors in historic Miramar were hit hard by COVID. They couldn't leave their homes, exercise, or even get their healthy midday meal. My agency, the Area Agency on Aging, sprang into action to help solve these issues with our partner, the City of Miramar.
Meals on Wheels had been partnering to serve seniors with a daily hot meal for years. And in response to concerns from our seniors, we retooled the entire program for home-delivered meals.
As an advisory council member, we asked the city to set up two hotlines, a general hotline and one for COVID. We received many thousands of calls that resulted in 54,000 interventions.
We also knew that our friends were lonely, so we set up a weekly peer outreach program and started a safe walking program.
Our senior advocate team also worked to provide in-home testing and vaccination appointments and transportation. We also worked to provide a Get Vaccinated video, which is now used all across Broward County.
Most of historic Miramar is a food desert. Many residents depend on the food pantry, federally funded lunch programs, and SNAP. To increase access of fresh, nutritious vegetables and decrease chronic health issues, we established the very first micro-urban farm in the county, and now located on city-owned land and maintained by 42 volunteers like us. This essential program embraces healthy living, family nutrition, and wholesome, delicious cooking.
Our garden offers hands-on demonstration and nurtures career in urban agriculture.
Some of our innovative programs, including hydroponics, container gardening, and microgreens. No space, no problem. You can even grow on your kitchen counter. Or some of our programs help me introduce Lily to all sorts of delicious vegetables, as well as the occasional worm.
Through my work as a garden volunteer, I learned of the skills to become a master gardener and established my own
organic produce business. The most rewarding activities at the garden are when we host field trips, bringing in hundreds of children each year. We offer our disco soup and veggie tasting event, cultivating a new generation of informed eaters. Hey gang, let's have some veggies.
These are crunchy and sweet.
Whether we are building our businesses, helping seniors, examining the issues through the lens of the arts, or sharing the harvest of our garden, we are working together and creatively leveraging our community's resources.
As you can see, we celebrate our diversity and respect one another. In Miramar, we tackle our problems with open minds and shared responsibility. We have made astounding progress, and we are definitely an
All-America City!
Excellent. Thank you so much, Miramar, Florida. I'm just like, I feel myself swaying to the tropical breeze from your background and wanting to eat some veggies. Let's see what questions are coming from the jury. If folks can raise their hands. We have Dante first, and then I'll put myself in the queue next. And then actually we'll do Josh next since you didn't get to go. I'll put myself in next. So Dante, then Josh, then myself.
So great job, Miramar. Your commitment to diversity, young and old, it just jumps off the page in your application as well as your presentation. So great job. Question for you, very interested in your bid program. How are you ensuring its sustainability? It's exciting to see that you're awarding grants over $500,000 in grants. How do you help ensure the sustainability of that type of program?
That's an excellent question. The BID program has designed to ensure, especially during the COVID pandemic, there were several economic resources that were made available to the small minority and local businesses that were in turmoil during the pandemic. And the way that we have various programs, including the CARE program you'll hear more about, that's assisting in ensuring the sustainability of that. And the BID program itself is one of those programs that we've designed to make sure that we're educating, connecting, and helping small minority and disadvantaged businesses grow.
As a business owner in the city of Miramar, I am pleased to announce that the BID program has significantly benefited my business. Even in COVID, we benefited from some of the grants that you mentioned to help to keep my doors open. And they also not only do that, they have also programs that encourages us to provide training. It provides information and also provides network opportunities for the small businesses and make us, in a way, capable to compete with larger businesses in the community. Equipped us really well with information to help us to grow.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let's get Josh next, and then we'll get Maya. I'll take myself off.
Well, thank you for a very wonderful presentation. I wanted to sort of unpack one of the points you were bringing up about, I believe it was repurposing a longstanding senior hotline to reach for COVID questions, and then also you mentioned a get vaccinated video. I was wondering, from an equity perspective, did you have any specific outreach efforts to reach perhaps hard to reach populations in your jurisdiction, or those that perhaps are vaccine hesitant?
Good afternoon. Thank you. That's a great question. One of the things that we did to ensure that the most vulnerable and the least likely to step forward to receive the services was we utilized that very network the senior mentioned, which is the peer-to-peer, because they're more inclined to listen to, speak to, and collaborate with someone that they identify with, as opposed to me calling and saying, you really should do this. As far as the vaccination video, it's something that we made sure that there was a diverse group presented on the video, as well as sharing it across media that the elderly population was more inclined to actually see.
Thank you.
We also, right from the beginning, got on top of addressing anyone who can view all the information via the internet. There was also the hotline. So there were multiple means of communication for all the information. And we offered in-home testing, which we still offer for those individuals who maybe could not get out of their home or take advantage of the testing site that we had in the city and the vaccination site that we had in the city as well.
And we actually partnered with the Division of Emergency Management and the Department of Health to be able to provide in-home vaccination services to homebound seniors. And Meals on Wheels, the demographic is very low-income minority focused. And as such, as we were calling all the clients who weren't able to get to a vaccination site, we had great success with they trust us so we could get into their homes and get them vaccinated.
All right, thank you. Let's get Maya and then Margaret.
Hello, Miramar. I am such a proponent of the visual arts and musical performances, and so I'm just in admiration of your MCC. I'm just curious about the process that you all have to solicit community feedback or voice into what they want to see in terms of programming.
That's a great question. Marketing is a key role in that. So we get out with community surveys on occasion. In fact, this year we started a foundation, especially with the virtual programming. We were able to do that, get that information right through the internet. So that was a key component, not being able to meet people face to face. We also, we do a survey essentially after every program that we have. So that's a key. And then we also engage people through our brochures on an annual basis and now quarterly because we knew things were changing rapidly. So that's the way we started with the engagement this year.
Through COVID, we had to obviously use other means, just like our internet or Twitter or Instagram. And so we developed things or questions for people to answer. And because of that, we developed amazing grassroots programs that we didn't have a year ago that actually have multiplied. And we've had to add more classes for adult dance, ballet. Who would have thought, right? But these things have really impacted and have allowed the community to come out at a fair and equitable price for the community.
Let's get a question from Margaret.
Hello, Miramar. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I was really just inspired by the diversity and the depth of participation and the cross-section of the community that you showcased. So thank you so much for that. I'm a big proponent of health and wellness, and especially healthy foods and community gardens. And so I was really excited to hear about your first micro-urban farm. And I was wondering, how do you ensure the distribution of your harvest to the community?
The community garden is a place in which we mostly teach other people how to grow. So it's through sweat equity is how everyone is invited to come and then in turn be able to grow in their own backyards and in their own kitchens. Not even if they don't even have a backyard or a balcony, we teach them how to grow in their own kitchens.
Another thing that we do is we have a program where we invite the neighborhood to come to our garden to pick up free sprouted products that we do. We have a huge event called the Tomato 101 event where we teach people how to grow tomatoes. We have a member that grew over 100 different varieties of tomatoes, and we invite the community to come on in and get whatever they want.
We also partner with organizations such as schools that are in the area so that they will teach the children and their parents to learn about vegetables. It's amazing to see that there were some kids have never seen a tomato, and now they're asking for arugula by name. So things like that. Yes.
All right, how are we doing on time, Rebecca? We have time for one last quick question.
We have a couple of minutes.
Okay, then I'll squeeze in one. I was wondering about your Citizens Police Academy and just a little bit more, if you can, about who runs it and how you measured success with that program.
Thank you. Excellent question. And we're very, very passionate about our Citizens Police Academy. We offer it in English and in Spanish. And in the near future, we'll be offering it in Creole and possibly even in Vietnamese. We put out the information through our different homeowners groups, but also we engage everything. We go to local businesses, the local coffee shop. Our officers from the Community Resource Unit actually specifically know their residents directly, so they engage with them and they invite them. The members come in and we gauge our, well, basically 150 people participated in our OLA program, which was the Hispanic Outreach Law Enforcement Academy. And the feedback was so overwhelming that instead of doing it yearly, we decided to start doing it twice a year. And next year, we'll probably be doing it 3 times in the same year because of so many people wanting it and the demand for it. Within it, we teach them self-defense, obviously for our citizens and for our residents. And they meet many of our officers. They know how to handle a traffic stop, what to do when you're stopped by a police officer, so that you understand a lot of people obviously aren't from our own culture. So we diversify them in that manner. We teach them about free swimming programs. They learn about various techniques of how to handle a situation if you're at a bank and someone tries to take over, how to not be a victim of scams. And again, this is geared also for ages, anyone from the age of 18 till seniors. And we've had multiple people. We had a 78-year-old female who participated and did amazing as well. Thank you.
Sounds amazing. Well, City of Miramar, thank you so much. I'm going to echo what Margaret said. I was inspired by the diversity and the mosaic, I think you used, of your voices and experiences in your presentation coming together for one Miramar. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Yes, Miramar! We are Walmart City! One
All right, I'm going to let City of Dallas into the room now. Welcome, City of Dallas. Here we have a few connections here. So if you could let me know when everyone who should be joining us has joined us, that would be great.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. I'm going to ask all of the Dallas teams to please rename yourselves as Dallas.
And Genesis, who should I make co-host?
Could you make Dallas Com, C-O-M, as co-host, and they will be sharing the video once we get started.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And jury members, just as a reminder, if you could lower your hands in between presentations, that will help Angela to keep track of the queue. Looks like we have one more individual joining from the waiting room, but after that, do we think we have everyone here?
Yes, we should have everyone in here right now. We are still gathering in the room. Give us just a second.
Great.
And if I have a video to share that would play with audio from my computer, is that right now it says the host has disabled screen sharing. So do we need to send you the link for that video?
I can make you a co-host as well.
Thank you.
And just as a reminder to everyone who shares a video, make sure you click the share sound option. Okay, so we have 2 co-hosts.
You came to the red side?
How are we doing? Are we just about there?
I think we are just about ready.
Okay, City of Dallas, are you ready to begin?
Yes, we are.
Then you may begin.
We envision a city where all residents can flourish regardless of their race, ethnicity, income, gender, zip code, or immigration status. Dallas's leadership knows this can only happen with a community-driven plan of action to improve residents' quality of life. That means collaborating with residents, businesses, and organizations to develop and implement data-driven policies that promote equity, inclusion, and resilience. It means working hand in hand across dividing lines that have historically kept us apart. The Resilient Dallas strategy outlines how we can make Dallas a city of opportunity for everyone. 3 notable goals are to make Dallas a welcoming city to immigrants, leverage partnerships to address behavioral health, and alleviate adverse environmental conditions by promoting sustainability. As the first certified welcoming city in Texas, Dallas has reduced barriers and created opportunities for immigrant residents by expanding language access across city services, supporting families by creating a resilience fund during the global pandemic, and offering legal services. Dallas's approach to divert people experiencing mental health crisis from jail or unnecessary hospitalization is quickly becoming a national model. It's called Right Care, with the right people, primarily a social worker, paramedic, and police officer, answering 911 calls. Mental health patients are receiving the right treatment. Dallas's award-winning Comprehensive Environmental and Climate Action Plan, or CCAP, is constructing buildings that are energy efficient, installing solar, reducing emissions, converting the light-duty fleet to be electric, and using cleaner fuel for other vehicles, protecting water resources, and increasing access to healthy local foods from urban farms and gardens. We are an all-American city and a community for all.
We are One Dallas.
We are all One Dallas.
Hola, I'm Dallas's Chief of Equity and Inclusion, Liz Civio-Vega. On behalf of the City of Dallas, our incredible community leaders, and city staff, we're pleased to provide a brief snapshot of 3 of Dallas's overarching goals, which demonstrate our aggressive and intentional efforts to build an equitable, inclusive, and resilient city for all. Hello, I'm
I'm the Dallas Welcoming Officer, Christina De Silva. As the first certified welcoming city in the state of Texas, Dallas is committed to helping immigrants bring their best to our city, providing fresh perspectives, starting businesses, and contributing to the vibrant diversity that makes our city prosper.
Good afternoon. I'm Joel Schweitzer, Regional Director of the American Jewish Committee. AJC and many other coalition partners have worked with the City of Dallas to increase community awareness about the economic, social, and cultural contributions that immigrants make.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jessica Gomez, and I am the Executive Director of Momentous Institute, a local Dallas nonprofit that collaborates with children, families, and communities to build and repair social emotional health through education, therapeutic services, and training so all children can achieve their full potential. In response to the economic stress and trauma that the COVID-19 pandemic has inflicted on our city, Dallas has collaborated with community partners to host mental health first aid trainings for Dallas immigrant residents and community leaders. Since February of this year, 55 immigrant residents and community representatives have been trained to help their friends, families, and neighbors understand and respond to mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Early in the pandemic, the city worked to form La Alianza, an alliance of Latino community groups, and the African American Black COVID-19 Task Force, which is made up of Black and African American serving organizations. The city collaborated with these two communities to distribute thousands of masks, hand sanitizers, and public health information, such as how to access free COVID-19 testing. Thanks to our partners, the city was also able to quickly establish a network of nonprofit organizations that distributed over $11 million in rental and mortgage assistance to Dallas residents who were experiencing economic challenges due to the pandemic. I'm excited now to turn it over to the right team.
Good afternoon. I am Tabitha Castillo, manager of the Right Care program. I'm joined today with our partnered agencies. Right Care stands for the Rapid Integrated Group Healthcare Team. We were developed to help divert people experiencing mental illness and to help with unnecessarily going to jail or being hospitalized. This program has increased equity with people with mental illness.
Hello, I'm Jessica Martinez, Chief Clinical Officer with the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority. Prior to 2018, only Dallas police officers responded to 911 calls for mental health related emergencies. While Dallas police officers received training in crisis intervention and de-escalation, they were not the mental health professionals best suited to these situations. A study by the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute found that police response usually led to jail and/or hospitalization, simply because officers did not understand patient needs or actions. Dallas recognized that police interactions involving people with mental illness may escalate quickly, putting everyone in danger, which is why Right Care created a safer response to behavioral health crisis calls.
Hello, I'm Kristen Peterson, Social Work Supervisor with Parkland Health and Hospital System. After 2 years, of the total mental health 911 calls received, 22% of the responses were diverted from hospitals to community care, and 12% of responses resulted in jail diversion. In 2020, the Right Care team participated in over 1,800 mental health calls, follow-up visits, and outreach care visits. The number of apprehensions of people experiencing mental health crises has declined, and Parkland Health and Hospital System sees fewer mental health patients in crisis return to an emergency room.
I'm Sergeant Wells with the Dallas Police Department. Since the Right Care team has launched, we have seen a 30% decrease in mental health calls to the 911 center involving an ambulance. The involuntary commitments have also decreased by the hundreds. Each year, Right Care team has been in existence. The Dallas police community and first responders have embraced our program. The Right Care provides a dual response and approach, serving its residents in a unique emergent care for its patients. And now I am pleased to turn it over to CCAP team.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Alvarez with the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. And I'm so happy to be joined today by Ms. Temecula Dro, who was one of our key stakeholders in the development of the Comprehensive Environmental and Climate Action Plan, CCAP for short.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I was one of about 60 people who worked with the city to make sure that our community's needs and concerns were addressed as part of the climate plan. We held lots of neighborhood and citywide meetings. We provided information at churches and football games and met with other stakeholders to help them understand the project. I will be honest, not everything got in there. There was a lot of compromise all the way around, but we are moving forward. And I continue to advocate on behalf of the neighborhoods as we move forward with this plan.
Thanks, Temecula. We are so grateful for your help and honest feedback along the way. The CCAP was born from a robust community engagement effort. I think our staff attended over 200 meetings in a period of about a year, and we received plan input from all 88 of the Dallas zip codes. Most of Dallas can relate to this plan because we've had firsthand experience with our changing climate through tornadoes and hail and flooding and our spring freeze this year.
If I might jump in, I'm David Marcos, and I'm an environmental advocate. I was also a member of the advisory committee. I'm so proud of Dallas's effort of this first-of-a-kind plan in North Texas that includes targeted actions specifically developed with a focus on equity, inclusion, and resilience. The plan addresses literally everything from A to Z, from air quality to zero waste, including green space, water resources, food security, transportation, buildings, and energy actions. All 97 actions of the 8 focus areas were screened for equity by assessing potential impacts and benefits from implementation of the plan.
Thanks, David. I'm Sandy Grayson, and I chair the Environment and Sustainability Task Force that is guiding plan implementation and making sure that our community voices continue to be heard. The Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability worked hand in hand with internal and external partners like Temecula and David and many others to develop a Dallas-centric plan to mitigate drivers of climate change, adapt to future climate conditions, enhance environmental quality, and with that, public health.
Thanks, Sandy. We are so excited to continue this journey towards an equitable CCAP implementation with our community. Dallas is strengthening resilience by providing resources, technical knowledge, and advocacy for policies that protect public health and well-being for all. CCAP actions are long-term, life-changing, and sustainable towards creating one Dallas.
The Welcoming Dallas Strategic Plan, the Right Care Program, and CCAP represent Dallas's commitment and compassion as a welcoming city, increasing equity, inclusion, and resilience. Juntos, we are making a progress towards being an all-American city. We are all one Dallas.
All right. Thank you so much, Dallas. I'm sure the jury has lots of questions for you, so I would love to see where we want to start. Let's start with Cece.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Cece Moore, and congratulations. This was an awesome presentation. It is hard to just think of one question. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on in Dallas. But I think I'm going to start with the Comprehensive Environmental and Climate Action Plan. And that's because I think it's a really ambitious plan that you've had engagement from over 88 communities as part of that process, as you shared. And my question is really centered around, how you were able to garnish that type of engagement, and also particularly from those most vulnerable to the longer term impacts from climate change. How are they engaged, and what does that engagement look like?
So that was probably the meat of our effort. And it was a lot of hard work on the behalf of my staff. So we typically tried to join in with other meetings so that we could meet the community where they are. In addition, we understand that there are some members of our community that aren't comfortable in a government-sponsored meeting. And so we developed a meeting in a box. And so that community advocates could do their own meetings in their own homes with people that they know, and then provide us the feedback from those meetings afterwards. That was really successful. We also worked with 3 of the universities locally and had their students also provide information and work towards getting that input from their families, from their friends, and from their other students at their respective schools. Last but not least, we worked with our stakeholders. Temecula, bless her heart, took our flyers to football games, to her church. We went to a lot of meetings in some of the nonprofits in Dallas. I just sat in on their meetings, and if there were questions, we answered them.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for the question, Cece. And so I have a question, which is about the Right Care program, which was really impressive, that mental health diversion program. And you answered so many questions in the presentation. I'm just wondering if there were any challenges, kind of what challenges did you encounter as you were developing the program, and what did you learn from them?
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity. So like any new program that marries 4 now, disparate organizations, Dallas Police Department, Dallas Fire Rescue Department, Parkland Behavioral Health, and the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority. We had different cultures, and putting them all together to work collaboratively in the interests of our behavioral health patients, of course, is a challenge. But we're so proud of our paramedics, our police officers, and our behavioral health experts who have come together to meet the needs of the Dallas community.
All right, thank you. Next, I have, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Are you, keep going.
We were just waiting for the next question.
Oh, okay, God, I couldn't tell whether you were jumping in, keep answering. All right, so let's keep it moving. Let's go to Mayor Daley and then Donnie.
I appreciate it. Hey, Dallas, great job. Great presentation, good information, really enjoyed it. As I've said before, one of the great things about being a jury member is you get to take these great ideas home to our communities and implement. So we've learned a lot from you. To follow up on the question about the mental health response team, great job with that. I'm curious to know, what was the genesis of the plan? How did you come together as a community and decide this is the right direction to go in? We need to have this partnership between police, fire, paramedics, and the mental health community. Talk to me about that process of how you came together to develop your response team.
Well, the city of Dallas, we receive over 13,000 calls a year for mental health calls. And so out of the abundance of the need, we relied on our expert partners. Mainly we relied on the Meadows Mental Health Institute, which is a main stakeholder here in Dallas. We relied on their studies that supported this program. And we also have our medical director, Dr. Isaacs, here to elaborate on that.
So Mayor Daley, that's an excellent question. So when we were looking to begin a behavioral health emergency response program, we looked at other models in other communities, and we determined that this collaboration between the Dallas Police Department to provide scene safety, have a secure response to individuals who are having behavioral health emergencies for their safety, the safety of their loved ones, safety of the community was paramount. The paramedic provides a level of medical emergency screening because, as you know, some of these individuals are experiencing medical emergencies either in addition to or separate from their behavioral health emergency. So having the paramedic there to do some level of medical screening and assure ourselves in the community that we're identifying those and get those individuals who need a hospital emergency department evaluation will get them. And then once the scene is secure through our law enforcement, Dallas Police Department, and are screened by our Dallas Fire Rescue paramedics, then our experts in behavioral health emergencies come in and identify what are their behavioral health needs. Can we treat them where we meet them there in their homes, in the communities, or can we get them either same day or next day services within the behavioral health community within Dallas?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, next Dante.
Thank you. Great job, Dallas. So I'm amazed as I read your application and your Welcoming Dallas Strategic Plan Initiative. If you could talk to me about the task force and how you bring how you brought such a wide range of stakeholders together and maintain alignment and collaboration when you potentially have so many different competing interests at the table. Just talk to me about that process, that collaboration model.
Thank you for that question. And we have several of our task force members here present today. Due to COVID restrictions still at City Hall, we would otherwise have at least 85 people here. That's the number of the individuals who are participating in support of our Welcoming Task Force. And so it was quite an endeavor to engage 85 members of our community. And what we did was reach out with a really wide invitation of people who had worked with immigrants and refugees, were immigrants and refugees, long-term residents of Dallas, people who were born here and people who came from other countries, to make sure that we had a wide and diverse group and we're as inclusive as we possibly could be in our makeup. And then we governed ourselves in ways that were strategic. We broke up into several subcommittees, which framed our strategic plan. And we let our community do their thing because they've been working in these spaces for many, many years. And so we were in a listening mode for a good part of the year, talking and bringing in subject experts, various community meetings, having the subgroups report out to the larger group. And then we're at the point about 9 months into a year to put together the report. And we had some technical assistance from national experts like Welcoming America and the New American Economy, who gave us insights as to what other cities were doing across the nation. And so we relied on best practices across the nation, put the report together, took it to our Workforce Education Equity Committee, and then advanced to the City Council, where it was unanimously approved in a 15-0 vote.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Excellent. Well, Dallas, I just came back from Texas, where part of my family is, so I know everything's big in Texas, and it is clear that Dallas is big on collaboration and resiliency and strength. So thank you so much, Dallas, for your presentation and for being an All-America City finalist.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today to present. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Dallas. And if you wouldn't mind moving to the waiting room and/or watching the remaining presentations on the main stage, we're going to welcome Spokane, Washington now. Welcome, Spokane. Can you hear us?
Yes, we hear us.
Great. Can we do a quick sound check?
Sound check.
Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello?
Yeah, great. All right. And are you sharing a video?
We are.
Okay, great. I've made you co-host. Will anyone else be joining us?
We have a number of people that will be joining us on the same feed.
Okay, great. Jury members, can you hear okay?
Is there a way to get the sound up just a little bit?
Yeah. You all are just a little bit hard to hear. We'll have the jury members turn their volume up, but if there's any way that you all could also turn your mic feed up.
Project.
Yeah. Are you hearing me better than are you hearing everybody else?
It's just muffled.
So you have to speak it loudly and enunciate. An audio check again.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. I'm Mayor Nadine Woodward.
Great. It sounds like the stage mics have much more volume, so I think we should be good. The mayor sounded
So our volume is good.
loud and clear. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, Spokane, Washington, are you ready to begin?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah!
Then you may begin.
Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery.
Thank you so much, Spokane. We love you.
I'm Mayor Nadine Woodward. Spokane is a city for all. We began as a gathering place for the Spokane tribes. These lands were once the major trading center for the Spokaneans, as they shared this place and welcomed other area tribes through their relations, history, trade, and ceremony. Today, Spokane remains a gathering place for people, for ideas, and for progress. It's not always easy working with others, but Spokane makes it a priority. We work, we reflect, we ask ourselves how we can be and do better. We engage as a community, we listen and we learn. We get it done together.
Today, we're showcasing 3 projects that are just pieces of the puzzle which makes Spokane great. The projects embody the spirit of innovation, compassion, and collaboration that deliver the results our community needs to keep moving forward. Together, they are helping to build a more equitable, resilient community for generations to come. The first project is Urbanova's Neighborhood Impact Initiative.
Hi, I'm Kim Zentz, CEO of Urbanova. We are an urban innovation partnership focused on driving equitable solutions for mid-sized cities. We believe in innovation through co-creation, and that we as a society must improve the social, economic, and environmental equity and resilience in our communities with everything we do. Examples of our projects include streetlight sensors for health and safety, clean energy projects for equity, hyperlocal air quality applications for those with compromised health, and secure data sharing for preventing homelessness. Everyone knows that equity and resilience are important, but how do you know you are making progress? We have demonstrated that the place to start is with measuring the lived experience and well-being of residents, and then drawing the relationship to livelihoods at the neighborhood scale. Since our founding, we've assembled a powerful coalition of public, private, academic, and philanthropic partners willing to think about cities, data, and technology from the residents' point of view first. In 2018, we accomplished a first-of-its-kind engagement with all 4,400 households in Spokane's historic East Central neighborhood. With these insights in hand and shared motivation of our dozens of partners, we've assembled teams, participated in proposals, and helped generate nearly $5 million in tangible civic capital collaboratively targeted to the health, safety, and resilience of Spokane with this innovative approach. Most importantly, though, is the less tangible civic capital of a community aligned for a shared belief that we must do better for our neighbors to measurably improve equity and resilience.
Thank you, Kim. The second project we are presenting is Spokane Gives.
Hi, I'm Drew, Community Outreach Manager at Spokane County United Way. I've been helping to lead Spokane Gives for 3 years. The Spokane Gives initiative takes place annually throughout the entire month of April, working to build the network between volunteer and nonprofit to promote giving year-round. Using our community's volunteerspokane.org website, Spokane Gives serves as a matchmaker. Our over 300 local nonprofits post service projects, and interested volunteers sign up to serve individually or as a team. In addition to the posted projects, large groups such as churches, colleges, and organizations complete their own volunteer project, such as a day picking up trash at a park or cleaning along the Spokane River. Spokane Gives is about bringing people together, and our community has embraced Spokane Gives. Since 2015, we counted over 490,000 volunteer hours, and that's just what we could count. This equates to an over $14 million impact in our community.
So for me, it's really where I get to live beyond myself and invest in a community that takes care of me.
Spokane Gives is an opportunity for all of us to make Spokane what we believe it should be. It's an opportunity where each voice counts, where every hand matters and makes a difference. And I think sometimes we feel like we can't do everything, but I believe we can do something, and Spokane Gives is a time when we'll do that together.
Spokane Gives is about volunteerism and service, and that's a core value of SDCU. So it was really natural for us to want to be involved when the mayor started this initiative.
Spokane Gives has given me the means to learn how to work with the local youth in the Spokane area.
Hi, I'm Gabriella. Since 2016, I have been a volunteer in Spokane, connecting with nonprofits that share my interests. I volunteered with the Spokane Humane Society, Leslie's Under the Bridge, and the YMCA, along with building a network of volunteers through donations from local credit unions and businesses. Spokane Gives is able to provide mini grants to support nonprofits in completing volunteer projects. As a student at Eastern Washington University, I realized that my design and visual talents could help the Spokane Humane Society by showcasing their pets up for adoption. I was able to apply for a mini grant as part of Spokane Gives, which enabled me to create and publish a calendar of the Humane Society's adoptable pets. I am grateful for the community partners who saw the value in providing small grants to help projects make a big difference.
Thank you, Drew and Gabriella. Our final project to present today is Priority Spokane.
I'm Ryan Ulrich, Executive Director of Priority Spokane. We identify and address priorities in collaboration with 25 diverse partners, including our mayor, universities, schools, tribes, businesses, hospitals, foundations, and nonprofits. In Spokane, we work well together, and we strive to assure everyone has a place at the table. And together, we're making a big difference. In fact, Priority Spokane received the National Robert Wood Johnson Culture of Health Prize for our work increasing high school graduation rates from 56% to over 80% in just 5 years. In 2015, Priority Spokane partnered with community research experts to administer comprehensive community needs assessment to determine Priority Spokane's next area of focus. Indicators showed us that homelessness was the largest problem facing Spokane County. Together, we decided to target students K through 8 and their families who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. We knew that by housing and stabilizing homeless children, we could prevent them from becoming homeless youth and prevent significant trauma to the students and our communities in the future.
We lost our house because of my mom's mental illness and her refusal to get help. So that's what caused me to be homeless. And yeah, so I lived in people's couches or outside sometimes. The hardest part of being homeless is the way that it changes your psyche and it sends you into like survival mode. And the way that you behave starts becoming less and less socially acceptable. And so you don't fit in with your peers anymore. You fit in with people you probably shouldn't because it's just all this fear. It's just constant fear and running and hiding and being scared of someone finding you, being scared of going to jail or going to foster care or whatever for something that, in all honesty, isn't really your fault.
I'm Sarah Clement Sampson with Providence. We're a proud member of Priority Spokane and help both lead and fund the community's research and innovative model to house homeless families. Priority Spokane places specially trained community health workers in 4 high-need elementary schools and 1 middle school. Each school was strategically selected based on its location, number of homeless students, and other resources already available within the school. Each community health worker had access to $10,000 in flexible funding thanks to our community partners to use to stabilize and or house families when other resources weren't available. The program and partnerships resulted in stabilizing and or housing 80% of the homeless children in the pilot and their families. And after 3 years, 95% of them were still stabilized and or housed. Our work is now being used as a model by other cities across the country. Priority Spokane is not just an organization. We are passionate community advocates who listen to experts, collaborate with diverse groups, and address the most pressing needs facing Spokane.
We are a community of people committed to prioritizing, collaborating, and delivering results that work to build a more equitable, resilient community. Together, we are Spokane, and together we put the all in All America City.
Yay, Spokane. All right, let's see what questions the jury has for our folks over in Spokane, Washington. Let's start with Maya.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Maya, and I'm just incredibly impressed with the growth and the emphasis on community volunteering during your Spokane Gives. I'm just curious, what does good look like for you all? There's a lot of growth happening in terms of volunteers, service hours, but what is the most important metric for you, and what is that goal you're after?
I think I heard you right. I can't totally hear, but the most important thing for us is that everyone commits the month to just volunteering, and they think of it as a first thing when they think about supporting their community. I think over the years, it started slow, and then it really built and built on itself. And with everyone knowing and speaking Spokane Gives into existence, really, and with everyone focused on volunteerism, it's been really amazing to watch grow. We try and provide funds for nonprofits because it helps when you have volunteerism. And sorry, I'm speaking to the computer, but I need to speak to the camera. but yeah, it's a big thing to us is just getting everyone involved and just knowing that you can volunteer for 1 hour, 10 hours, whatever it is, just volunteer. And it's a big push and it makes it front of mind for everyone.
I'm going to jump in and ask a quick follow-up question about that project, which is how do you think about equitable access? So if everyone's volunteering, how are you thinking about equity in how Spokane Gives rolls out?
A lot of it is with the nonprofit partners that we work with. We try and reach out to every nonprofit partner that would be interested in having a $300 very flexible mini grant, and have those nonprofits be able to have the volunteer project and talk to them about equity. There's a lot of equity talk within our community, and actually before 2020, there was a lot of work going on. And so a lot of our nonprofit partners have already tried to be equitable in their volunteer to make sure that there is no barriers for any person part of any part of our society.
Excellent, thank you. Let's go to Lexi and then Mayor Daley.
Hi, Spokane. Thank you so much for your presentation. I was so blown away by the Priority Spokane initiative and how you've included measurable results from really great work of compassion and working specifically to fill the community need. And I was just curious, since this was a pilot program, if you had any sort of long-term ambitions to continue that work after it was concluded.
Thank you for that question. And absolutely. And I'm proud to say that that work has continued here in Spokane, and not only has continued here with partners, but has continued to be adopted by other communities across the country. We've chatted with the Hawaiian Public Health District that have worked to implement our model there, with cities in Utah, with cities in Idaho, and ongoing conversations with other communities around the country that we hope will continue to learn from the work that we did, and not just learn from it, but build on the model that we piloted here.
Great, thank you. Mayor Daley.
Thank you, appreciate it so much. Spokane, great job. Mayor, I love your energy. Your presentation was fabulous. All of the videos, really do appreciate it. Drew, I don't know if you planned this or not, but you were giving your presentation, and behind you through the glass, I don't know if that's a park or not, but you had the most adorable scene of a mother pulling her children in a wagon. It's like, did you plan that or did that just happen? Nonetheless, it fit in perfect with the presentation. Quick question on Spokane Gives. You know, as you mentioned before, and congratulations on the success. Obviously, April is a huge month. I'm curious, tell us a little bit about your story. Obviously, a year ago, April, this country and the world was going through some very difficult times with COVID. How did it impact Spokane Gives? How did you rally, and how did you overcome that as a community?
I was thinking before this, it's like, man, I hope I don't get the first question, but y'all asked me all three questions now. Last year was very different for everyone. And for the volunteer projects, what we did is we did kind of no strings attached funding. So we didn't put pressure on nonprofit organizations to be able to host volunteers, and to be able to have expectations from us. What we did is we said, here's some funds that you can have. If you can do volunteerism and safely and within your organization, we would highly recommend trying to use it for that. If not, you know, take care of yourselves, take care of your organization, the clients that you serve. And that was really a big push during 2020. And I think showing that flexibility has allowed us to grow a lot of partners that we work with for Spokane Gives. If people understand that this initiative is truly just the spirit of volunteerism, I think that's so strong that there's no outside agendas. It's just, hey, like, let's get out there, let's volunteer. And nonprofit partners can recognize that when you have this kind of no strings attached volunteerism. For this last year, we were a little more, hey, we'd love to see you actually put volunteer projects there. You know, there's more knowledge around COVID-19, which I think allowed our nonprofit partners to figure out what would be the best project that they could have in a safe environment. So I think that just, I don't know, if we just make this a passion about volunteerism and kind of put outside agendas away, then I think that you get the true source of volunteerism.
Right. Oh, all three projects are great projects. Great presentation. I appreciate your answer.
All right, let's get Josh in next.
Yeah, thank you for a wonderful presentation and great overview. So I had a question about Urbanova and the in-depth interviews that you used to guide your work. From an equity and inclusion perspective, how is there an effort to reach hard to reach individuals with those interviews that perhaps might not otherwise consider engaging with the city or city related projects? And if so, can you sort of expand on what you're doing there?
Certainly, thank you for the question. And I might just build on what Drew just got done saying. That's Spokane innovating in times of challenge like COVID. And so our innovation at Urbanova, reaching the hard to reach populations, is let's try to reach everyone. Let's not segment people into categories. Let's find out what happens when you talk to absolutely everyone in a neighborhood that we know is challenged, but that's when we're looking at the data that is averaged across the city or across the whole neighborhood. So working with Gallup, we did an address-based survey, and we had enough of a sample size that we could disaggregate the data so that we could see what's actually happening across all of the different slices of data that will give us greater insights into the hard to reach populations that don't show up when you average the data across a whole city or a whole county. So that's our hyper-local approach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And let's get Mayor Shelton in next.
First of all, job well done. Congratulations. The Spokane Gives and the Urbanova, that the placemaking, community building, I think is just essential. I wanted to make that comment more than ask a question, but I kind of just wanted to ask the mayor specifically, if she's still available, the 45 different boards and commissions, how do you make all those meetings? I've got about 10 and I can barely handle it.
Oh, good question. I haven't made all of them yet. And certainly not in the environment that we've been working under. I just came into office at the very beginning of 2020. So we spent a lot of time also seating people on those boards and commissions. And that's the part of I really have enjoyed up to now. I look forward to actually joining some of those meetings, but I've spent a lot of time, interviewing and getting to know some of the members who will be serving on those boards and commissions. And I always ask them, why is it that you want to serve? What do you want to give and what do you hope to get out of it? And I just think that it embodies the spirit of our community, is that everybody wants to give something. And sometimes the biggest thing you can give is your own time. And I really appreciate that's what makes our community so great.
Well, great job. Job well done.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, Spokane, Washington. It is clear you are focusing on the innovation and the compassion and the collaboration that make an All-America City finalist. So thank you all so much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spokane, and thank you to everyone who presented in our first block of finalist presentations: Southfield, Michigan, Miramar, Florida, Dallas, Texas, and Spokane, Washington. We appreciate your time. Those are all of our presentations today. We do encourage you to join us right here for the awards ceremony that will again be live streamed to the main stage of the event platform, as well as to Facebook and to YouTube, and hope that you will join us for the opening ceremony, which will feature our first keynote speaker, Dr. Gail Christopher, Executive Director of National Collaborative for Health Equity. So with that, I will have everyone go on a quick break. If I can have our jury members just to stay on for a couple of minutes. Thank you, everyone. All right. Sorry about that. Too many streams going on right now.
So when I go to settings, I've got background and filters. Virtual backgrounds, I have either none or blur.
Yeah, I'm struggling because you're in the same account as I am, and the option is there for me.
Should I go to lens?
Top version of Zoom? Like when you minimize this, is there like a Zoom icon on your desktop?
No.
Okay. So that
So
was,
I could go to Lindsay's account.
you can try that. I think it's because you're joining from the web browser, and one of the keys to doing the background is to jumping on through the actual app.
Yeah, I'm in my kids' room, so I wouldn't mind having a background.
It looks good.
If I do a close-up, you'll see his Lego projects.
That's okay.
I'm going to tidy up my desk behind me a bit. So,
I should too.
I'll go out and try Lindsay's account, see if that makes a difference.
Okay. If you can try that, and then if that,
Or I could Google
but
Zoom and just.
it's not on Lindsay's account. The meeting is being hosted on my account.
Okay. Should I could
so
log into
you
Zoom.
might just need to like download Zoom, the
Oh
desk.
my. Oh my. How's our time? We're good?
Yep, we have about 8 minutes. I'm trying to, you guys will see it says we're live streaming. We are, but it's not live anywhere, so we're still good.
Well, I do have Zoom in my apps. So if I go there and sign in, would I sign in?
Sign in from the app.
Okay.
And then go to webinars.
What is your
I'll
password for sign in?
It's pretty lengthy, so I'll drop it into the chat. So it's my email address, and then that, which you should be able to just copy and paste from there.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to exit the other one.
Okay.
Dr. Christopher, one of the first schools to participate in the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation effort is Agnes Scott College, and it's in Decatur, and we have done several cooperative presentations with them, and it's such an interesting, it's a small liberal arts school that has gotten the most innovative school award like 4 years in a row. And they have no majority student population. So they have a really diverse group of students and group of faculty, staff, and it's a great little school that is really moving the needle, I think, and it's great to have them as a partner with us in the city.
I'm so glad. I want to know more about that because you know, our dream for this work when we funded the campus centers is that they would work with the cities, you know, and with the communities. So it's just wonderful to hear that feedback.
Right. So
So Doug, it looks like when you logged in, it took my background away, which is an interesting thing, but that's fine. It's way more important than I do. Actually, I'll just be screen sharing, so you won't. I mean, and I have a pretty it's just a blank wall. So
that's funny.
Right now, the technology.
And is mine is the lettering in the right direction for your? Okay, it's backwards for me.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Well, Mayor Garrett, I'm going to follow up with you. I want to talk more about this. So
oh, absolutely. Yes, I would love to have a follow-up conversation.
Yes. You know, one of these talks, people shipped me a background, right? So I had to unfold it and stand it up on.
Oh, wow.
It dominated at the time I was working at my dining room table. So, you know, no one could move or walk through the dining room until this event happened, you know, so it's funny.
Well, your bookcases are perfect. So
thank you. This is my library, and this is where I try to do most of these Zoom meetings now, you know, because these different backgrounds is too much.
Every year, the National Civic League recognizes.
Sorry to interrupt, but did everyone see that clip real quick?
Yeah.
Through? You heard it?
Heard it, saw it, yep.
Great, thank you for checking that. All right. So Doug, I'm playing that if you have the script in front of you after your introductory remarks. So that'll be in place of the introducing the finalists. Great. All right, well, it's just so I can switch all the buttons that I need to. I'm going to go ahead and make us live on our event platform, Facebook, YouTube. So here in just a couple of seconds, our comments are not private.
Oh, let me ask a quick question. You said you were going to play that after Doug makes introductory remarks. Is that correct? So he's going to make introductory remarks, and then will introduce me, and then I'll introduce Dr. Christopher. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It will go Doug, video, Doug again. He will introduce you, and then you will introduce Dr. Christopher. And then after their conversation, it's just Doug. So I know that you had I think a council meeting that you might need to jump off for. So after you do your introduction, if you need to leave us, that's no problem.
Okay, I'm going to try to listen for some. That'll be, I'd like to hear part of Dr. Christopher's remarks. So, all right, great.
So we're going right into conversation though, Doug, right? I'm not making a speech.
That's right.
Okay.
Q&A. I've got 3 questions.
Okay, great.
They're softball questions.
All right, we are live on YouTube, and I'm going to push this live to Facebook in just a moment. Okay, and now we should be live on Facebook. And Doug, for any reason, if I lose internet connection here at the office, you should be good to go since we're in different locations. So just keep running.
Right. Yeah, and you'll just cue me when to start.
Great. and we are ready to begin whenever you're ready.
Welcome to the National Civic League 72nd Annual All-America City Awards, spotlighting communities around the U.S. that are working to improve equity and resilience. I am Doug Linkhart, the president of the National Civic League, and in the next few days are all about you and the important work you are doing in your community. We congratulate you and look forward to celebrating you over the next few days. To those who attended virtual roundtables or finalist presentations today, thank you for coming to share and learn with us. During this opening ceremony, we will introduce our amazing All-America City finalists. Then we'll be hearing from Patty Garrett, Mayor of the All-America City of Decatur, Georgia, and Chair of the National Civic League's Board of Directors. Finally, we will be joined by today's keynote speaker, Dr. Gail Christopher, Executive Director of the National Collaborative for Health Equity. But first, let's announce this year's finalists.
Every year, the National Civic League recognizes 10 communities across the country for the All-America City Award. This award recognizes the community's ability to bring residents, organizations, and government together to solve the challenges in their communities. Communities of all sizes from across the country have won. The 72nd Annual All-America City Awards feature 20 finalists that are building equitable and resilient communities. The 2021 finalists are Barberton, Ohio; Bellevue, Washington; Carlisle, Pennsylvania; Dallas, Texas; El Paso, Texas; Inglewood, Colorado; Evanston, Illinois; Fitzgerald, Georgia; Fort Lauderdale, Florida; Fort Wayne, Indiana; Kansas City, Missouri; Livermore, California; Miami Lakes, Florida; Miramar, Florida; Morrisville, North Carolina; Richmond, Virginia; Southfield, Michigan; Spokane, Washington; Sumter, South Carolina; Wheat Ridge, Colorado; Congratulations, finalists. You represent the best in American civic innovation and give us hope for the future.
What a great group of finalists. Your commitment to building equity and resilience is an inspiration. We welcome you and the spirit and energy you bring. These are certainly challenging times, and we want to honor you for the work you continue to do in your communities to recover from a global pandemic, respond to calls for racial justice, and safeguard democracy. This event happens because of the collaboration and hard work of many people. We thank our sponsors, particularly Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the All-America City Awards for the 13th year, the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, CGI Communications, ICMA RC, and our other sponsors and supporters that are listed in your program. Let's also give a big thank you to our application reviewers, our youth award interviewers, and the jury. And lastly, but not leastly, a special thanks to National Civic League staff, especially Rebecca Trout, for making all this possible. Although we're virtual this year, we hope you use these next few days to attend workshops, read about your fellow finalist communities, explore the booths, and enjoy the talent showcases. In the words of people who have been part of the All-America City Awards before, we hope that you fall in love with your community all over again and are inspired to do even more in the coming years to make it better. I'd now like to introduce the National Civic League's Chair of the Board of Directors, Mayor Patty Garrett. Patty Garrett was elected to the Intercity Commission in 2009 and has served as mayor since 2016. She serves as chair of the board of the National Civic League and on the board of the Georgia Municipal Association, where she is a member of the Federal Policy Council and the Environmental and Natural Resources Committee. She's interested in health policy, particularly related to access to healthy foods, equity, environmental policies, active lifestyles, and the role of local government in fostering healthy, equitable, and vibrant communities. The National Civic League has benefited from her board service and now her leadership. Thanks so much, Mayor Garrett, for being with us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and just watching the video presentation really piques my interest in what a great group of cities that are participating this year. And I always get inspired and then want to go visit those places. So that's another great part of this. So welcome everyone. It's really a pleasure to serve on the board as board chair of the National Civic League. The All-America City Award has been recognized as the best in civic innovation for over 70 years, with over 500 communities receiving the designation. And Decatur, Georgia was thrilled to be recognized as an All-America City in 2018. And the award has served to solidify our culture of engagement, collaboration, and has brought the community a sense of real pride. This year, the All-America City Awards are recognizing communities that have worked to improve equity and resilience. The need for equity and resilience became even more obvious in 2020 as communities have dealt with a global pandemic and social unrest in response to incidents of racism. This year's finalists have shown that those communities with more equity and resilience have been more successful in combating the pandemic and making the needed changes to improve the racial equity of law enforcement and other city services. This year's 20 finalists have proven the strength of their civic capital, the formal and informal relationships, networks, and capacities that they use to make decisions and solve problems. And they've provided examples of community-driven projects that have adapted and transformed the communities to be more equitable and resilient. We come together over the next few days to recognize these communities' efforts and to learn from your successes. I'd now like to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Gail Christopher. Dr. Christopher is an award-winning social change agent with expertise in the social determinants of health and well-being and in related public policies. She's known for her pioneering work to infuse holistic health and diversity concepts into the public sector program and policy discourse. Dr. Christopher recently retired from her role as Senior Advisor and Vice President at the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, where she was the driving force behind the America Healing Initiative and the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation effort. Dr. Christopher also served as Kellogg's Vice President for Program Strategy and worked on place-making place-based programming in New Orleans and in New Mexico in 2015. She received the Terrence Keenan Award for Grant Makers in Health. She chairs the board of the Trust for America's Health. And in 2019, she became a senior scholar with the George Mason University Center for the Advancement of Well-Being. Dr. Gail Christopher also became the executive director of the National Collaborative for Health Equity in November 2019. We had a chance to visit just a few minutes before we started this, and we look forward to continuing our conversation offline about health equity and some of our interests that lie very much in the same path. So welcome, Dr. Christopher. I look forward to the conversation with you and Doug. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Garrett.
I'll let you know two things about Dr. Christopher, shown by her interest in this program. One is when I asked her to speak, she said she didn't want to lecture. She wanted to have a conversation, which I think is quite characteristic of Gail's history. And secondly, when she retired, she did not retire. She is not gearing down, she's gearing up, I'll tell you that. So thank you so much, Dr. Christopher, for being with us today. And by way of conversation, I've got a couple of questions to ask you and love to hear your thoughts for our audience. And some of those members of our audience may not be familiar with your work. Can you speak about your career in health equity and racial healing?
I can. First of all, thank you for inviting me and congratulations to your finalists. Just watching that video took me back to my days as a reviewer, where I was there live with the communities, and the energy that they brought is almost palpable in that video. So congratulations to everyone. And thank you, Mayor Garrett, for your leadership and for that very generous introduction. My career spans more decades now than I care to count, but it really started with a personal experience of loss. I experienced what is called infant mortality, in the sense that I lost my firstborn child, and she was only a few months old. I learned through that experience that I was one of millions of women of color who lose their infants, and also, there are many mothers who die in childbirth. And that sort of launched me on a journey to find out why. Why do African-American mothers have such disproportionate and continuously so incidents of infant mortality and loss? And that led me into an understanding of holistic health and well-being, and the importance of access to quality foods and environments that are nurturing and supporting, and really opened up my understanding of the social determinants of health. So that trajectory has taken me from clinical practice to designing social programs to really caring about the role of government. Government is important in our lives, and as the bashing government movement, expanded, I did some work with the Alliance for Redesigning Government and the Institute for Government Innovation at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. And from there, more focus on policy at the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, and then into philanthropy. I had been the recipient of grants for decades, and then I found myself in a leadership position to be able to give grants. But always that thread of trying to improve health outcomes. For years we used euphemisms. We called it place matters, your zip code determines your health, but we finally evolved to a place where we can call it for what it is, which is this adherence to a false ideology of the hierarchy of human value. The lie that some people are just more important than others, have more value, more innate worth. That's a long way of saying racism, but it also opens the door to many other isms. It gives permission to other and to exclude and to deny opportunity and to dehumanize. So even though it's been a varied career, it's always been with the intention of eliminating the effects of racism. And the last decade or so, it's really been focused on eliminating racism itself, the permission to devalue some people and to destroy their lives.
Thank you, Dr. Christopher. It's kind of frustrating, I think, but for many people, this has been an issue that has really been on the front burner for the past 12 or 14 months. Since the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, many people in America have awoken to the issue of racism and responded. And I know there are some good parts and maybe not so good parts about that, but give us your reflections on where we are at this moment in time.
Well, thank you for that question. I gave a speech this weekend and it was really wrapped around this moment, right? There's no question that the level of awareness, the level of mobilization, civic mobilization and engagement on this issue is probably unprecedented, both within our country and around the world. So this is what you might call a watershed moment, potentially. And our challenge now is to leverage this moment in strategic ways. Of course, whenever you have a watershed moment on an issue that could be as divisive as this one, you do have backlash, you do have division. But the majority of Americans, and that's the good news, the majority of Americans understand that this is a legacy that we as a country need to face, and we need to heal, and we need to transform ourselves. And so I think we're at a critical moment. I am so proud of the current administration in Washington, putting equity right in the center of its platform. It is the first time you've ever heard a president in his inaugural address be very explicit about these issues. And so this is a moment, but it's a moment where the work of the National Civic League, the model that we have in the All-America City Awards, it's a moment where we must come together. We must transcend our selfishness, if you will, our inability to communicate and to relate across differences. And we must develop the skills and the capacities to take this country to the next level. And I say with all sincerity, America owes this to the world. Our meteoric rise to prominence, economic prominence, was based on the loss of so many lives. We must do this work. We must model for the world that it is possible for us to face our past, heal through it, and transform ourselves into a country that actualizes our aspirational tenets that all are truly created equal. It's a journey. It's a journey that we simply must do if we're going to survive as a country. And it's a journey that if we do it, we can say to the world that it is possible to do this. Because even though we have a unique brand of racism in this country, racism is a problem throughout the world. And so the moment for me is a moment of tremendous opportunity. As you know, I put a lot of energy into designing various programmatic strategies for this, the most recent of which is the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation work. And it's happening on college campuses and in cities around this country. Federal legislators are taking a look at it. Barbara Lee has proposed a resolution. Senator Cory Booker has supported it in the Senate to create a U.S. Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation process. Just today, the American Constitutional Society, a group of lawyers, thousands of lawyers across the country, made this the center of their platform going forward, looking at how to reform our legal system to undo the legacy of racism. So this is a moment where we can be clear-eyed and determined. And I think it's an unprecedented moment in our history. And I'm really excited to be able to not be retired and to still be actively engaged in helping to lead this work.
Thank you so much. And those are really inspirational words. Gail, you've got a background in healthcare. Talk to us a little bit more about this past year and a quarter under COVID-19. And it certainly awoke many people to the health disparities that are out there. Are we better prepared now when this comes back around? And are there lessons that we've actually learned through this process, do you think?
We are somewhat better prepared in the sense of we won't be, as they say, gobsmacked or caught completely off guard. We have leadership now in the country that feels a sense of responsibility for all of us, and decided to manage this challenge. And I think that experience alone has given us the muscle memory of what we need in the event that things should resurface. So in that sense, we are better off, but we're not better off in terms of the structural inequities that led to such disparate impact, in diverse communities of color. The increased exposure, I love this new phrase that arose through the pandemic of essential workers, right? But these workers were there, on the front lines forever, but they were not considered essential. They were not paid adequately, nor did they have access to the child care and to the health care and to the affordable housing and the safe transportation and the healthy air to breathe. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, all social determinants, right? And as a result of those inequities, there was disproportionate loss and death and illness. And of course, all of that was over a burden, laid over a burden of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease and obesity. And the obesity and the diabetes are all related to access to healthy food, access to safe places for movement, and the lack of access to healthy food. I learned recently that many of your major food providers or suppliers, in terms of their marketing budgets, they spend in excess of 80% of their budgets marketing poor nutrient, calorie-dense foods to communities and within communities of color. So we have a lot to do to actualize, fairness and justice when it comes to health and the opportunity to be healthy. We have created at the collaborative that I lead an interactive web program that is called HOPE, and it speaks to health and opportunity for equity. And states and locales can use it to really have a quantifiable approach to providing those opportunities that will expedite, health and well-being. So the simple answer to your question is, always yes and no. We are better off, I think, as a public health system. We're not anywhere near where we need to be. And I'm hoping that this administration will invest. I am directing a commission now for the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, whose intention is to transform public health data systems. Data creates our narratives. Data provides the information that determines what we do. And one of the things that was exposed in the pandemic was our woefully lacking public health data systems. We don't even know how many people, fell victim to COVID-19. Not really, our systems are just weak. And so I'm hoping that there's an African proverb that says to stumble is not to fall, but to move forward faster. I'm hoping that we will move forward faster in redesigning our systems with an intentional focus on equity and well-being.
Okay, thank you. What keeps us inspired at the National Civic League is that we work with communities all around the country that are doing great things at the local level. It's easy to get discouraged looking at the federal government and sometimes at the state level and not feel much progress. But I know that you have worked with cities throughout the country, and the Truth Racial Healing Transformation Project identified 14 communities for special focus just before you left the foundation. Are there examples around the country that you could point to of success on equity and resilience?
Yes, and I'm always impressed with what's going on in Buffalo, New York, and how the business community has stepped up, and the business community has stepped up, and they've also prioritized the vulnerability of young men of color in that work. Very exciting work. The city of Chicago has trained, I believe, over 500 people to conduct racial healing circles, to bring communities together. And I think the last count was over 3,000 people in the city have come together to deal with these issues in ways that respect and honor all of the participants. The city has a project where they've funded, they call it Healing Together. We Can Heal Together. Chicago Heals Together, I think is the name of it. Exciting work during the pandemic, using the virtual platforms to bring communities together and to empower young people through the city colleges to see this as their work, to develop career paths of bringing people together and enhancing civic engagement. The work in Selma, Alabama, and other places, the work in Lansing, Michigan, and Flint, Michigan. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to see that folks are recognizing that the framework, which leads with creating a new narrative. One of your winning cities or one of your finalist cities, Dallas, Texas, is a really strong TRHT city. And they've done some amazing work to investigate the narrative and to fill in the missing narratives about the diversity and the historic diversity of that city. So people are using the framework, the strategy, they're changing their local narratives, they're exploring their local histories and engaging their newspapers. They're deliberately bringing their communities together through racial healing and relationship building. And then they're taking the deep dive to look at the structures of inequity that have been driven by an intentional separation of people, an intentional legal structure and system that dehumanizes and devalues, and ultimately an economy that exploits. So those are the 5 pillars of the TRHT work. And communities across this country are encouraged. The Kellogg Foundation has a big section on their website to offer guidance for any communities that might want to use this approach, because our goal is transformation. Our goal is healing and transforming our communities into places of equity and resilience. So I'm so excited to learn more about your finalists. And I wouldn't be surprised if many of those cities are not influenced by or part of the National Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation work.
Terrific. Well, one last question, Gail. As you point out, we have a lot of great communities on the platform this week. We have 20 finalist communities that are working on equity and resilience and making some progress already. What would be your advice to those communities going forward?
Well, first of all, I would applaud and appreciate the leadership that's already there. My advice would be to not be naive in expectations, to know that we're not going to erase 400 years, in a year or two. So the first thing is to realize that this is a long distance run. It's not a sprint, and to recognize that there is power. So many people in this work, they start with a power analysis and they talk about other people having power. My most important message, I think, is to recognize the power that's within each of us. We have a reservoir of power, and we can tap into that power to really be catalytic forces for change. So one piece of advice I always give advocates and leaders: never underestimate our power. Our power, though, is released or ignited by a clear vision of where we're going. This is an age of a lot of what they call anti-racism work, and that's a good thing. But I say to communities, it's not just what we're against. We have to hone in on what we're for. And what we're for is driven by a clear vision, a clear set of expectations of where we're going. So I think to all the communities that are doing this work, I would say, let's start with a collective vision of a future without racism. If we don't believe that America can truly have a future without racism, we will never create that. We have to believe it, we have to envision it, and that's the vision that will draw out our energy and our power. It's the vision that will enable us to create and manifest the very thing that we see and believe is possible.
Well, thank you so much, Gail. You're truly an inspiration to all of us, and our country is better off for your work. So thanks so much. And we look forward to continuing to converse with you over the years. And I would recommend to folks to look at the Kellogg website. There's some great information and resources there on truth, racial healing, and transformation, and also to your website, the Collaborative Fair Health Equity. And congratulations on leading that effort now.
Thank you. It's been my honor to be with you, and I'm a fan, and I know that you all are a bright light in the midst of all the confusion and darkness in this country right now. You're showing that it's possible to come together and to have hope, and indeed to heal communities. So thank you very much for the work that the National Civic League continues to do and has done for so many decades.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Gail Christopher has been a friend to the National Civic League and All American Cities for a long time, and we appreciate your continued support and friendship. Finally, want to give some important information for attendees. In the event platform, you'll find the schedule for the next few days. We keep the jury presentations on schedule. They start tomorrow at 12 noon Mountain Time. Anyone want to win a Southwest airline ticket? To do so, we encourage you to attend as many workshops as you can, because at each one, your name will be taken for a chance to win a Southwest Airlines ticket to be given away Wednesday night at the end of the awards event. There are also opportunities for Southwest tickets throughout the Civic Action Fair and Cultural Entertainment Showcase, and also active participation on the event platform will result in a few other surprises as well, in addition to ticket vouchers. Southwest Airlines is turning 50 this month, and will be celebrating with their employees and communities across the country to inspire 1 million acts of kindness. Whether delivering a meal to a neighbor, cleaning up a park, or sharing a note of encouragement, they believe community is more than a place. It's at the heart of what brings it together. I might note, we have seen so many great examples over this past year of residents, neighbors, and businesses pulling together to help each other. It has truly been heartwarming. Southwest invites you to join the call for a kinder world by visiting southwest50.com to take the Southwest Kindness Pledge and learn more. We'll also be giving away special gifts throughout the event, in addition to the free tickets I mentioned earlier. So have fun, explore the great content, learn as much as you can, watch as many presentations as possible, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.